I thought I'll just do a little bit of reading of Manu Joseph's Miss Laila Armed and Dangerous because I love Manu for the way he talks about various aspects, be it feminism or be it the stupidity of liberals or the right wing in his own unique way. So I'm just going to read a few parts of the book. Uh, just hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed reading it. Okay, this is a part where he talks about love. Mukundan is unable to guess the nature of relationship between Jamal and the girl. He is yet to see an indisputable sign of love in the blue indica, like kissing or a hand reaching out to squeeze the flesh or a man throttling a woman. But then the indica has been traveling over 80 kilometers an hour and it has not stopped or slowed down since it left Mumbra. Some lovers are careful on the highway, perhaps. If they are lovers, what is it that she sees in a man like Jamal, a married 35-year-old man with kids who is stupid enough to be shadowed by the Intelligence Bureau? What do women see in men anyway? You look at the girls laughing in the company of their men, you would think that humor is a very common male talent, which it is not. Shouldn't love be the reward for the clever alone? The rest must receive only loyalty, which is a different thing. But then the world does not work that way. But then to imagine love as a high tribute is to fall for the historical lie of the lovers. Love is probably a lower emotion than its reputation. That thought always comforts him. Hey, also throughout the book, he just talks about various personality in a very direct sort of a way, exposing one little part of their hypocrisy. So here's what he thinks and talks about Irom Sharmila. When Miss Iyer enters the frame, it is evident why Sharmila was so surprised. Miss Iyer had inserted a tube into her own nose. This is horrible, she says. Are you making fun of me? It's horrible, Sharmila, to live with a tube up your nose. There are worse things in the world. Why is the government trying to feed you when you keep telling the courts you don't wish to die? They don't believe me. They must know if you really wanted to die, you would have died by now. You're not that type. You wish to live. I love life. That's what I tell the Indian government. I love life. Why are you going through this? Miss Iyer says, tugging gently at Sharmila's nasal tube. For my people, Sharmila says. That's what activists around you have trained you to say. They've employed you, Sharmila, as a saint with a tube up her nose. Sainthood is a form of employment. You know that, right? Are you a journalist? Sharmila asks. You are in love. There's a man who loves you, Sharmila. You keep all his letters in a box and you read them. You want to live like a person, not like a saint. I think you must leave, says Sharmila. Are you stuck with this Iron Lady act? Are you stuck, Sharmila? There's no shame in giving up. You know that. There is no shame. There's a door opening and the exclamation of a man. In a moment, a dozen people rush in and they evict Miss Iyer and the camera person who is unseen. Don't touch my tube! The guys, please! Miss Iyer says on her way out. It's my breakfast. Thanks. This is the first part where he's talking about uh, feminism, right? She stares at him in silence, though expecting him to say more. When he is about to speak and end the bizarre silence, she interrupts him with a question. Mr. Rajan, what do you mean when you say you're a feminist? He takes a moment, and when he speaks, he stresses every syllable. He then repeats more emphatically, equality, unambiguous, non negotiable equality. Equal to whom? Equal to men or equal to you? But there must be more to a woman's life. Rajan tries to achieve a graceful nod. Equality and respect. Unambiguous, non negotiable respect. When men respect women, they are feminists. Well, can they watch pole dancing? Excuse me? Uh, I mean, is a male feminist allowed to watch pole dancing? Rajan rubs his nose and says, informed, intelligent men do not objectify women. Have you, sir, ever objectified a woman? My God, this is the dumbest question in the world. Well, it's the dumbest question in the world because you obviously do objectify women. I never. How do you fuck? Rajan begins a long glare at the camera. He's not sure yet if this is a prank. If the interview is genuine and he terminates it, he would look petty, like sensitive Hindu patriots whom he condemns. He's a liberal, and liberals must stay the course of an unpleasant interview. He shifts his stare to Miss Iyer. His paunch begins to rise and fall at every breath. I don't do that. You don't bonk. First of all, it's called making love. Yes, making love. Do you, sir, make love? I am that kind of a man who gets excited by a woman's intellect, spirit, and humor. As in, your lady is sitting on the bed reading, and you look at her and think, oh, my adorable lady devouring Roger Penrose, and you're consumed by an intense respect for her, which makes you very, very hard. Miss Iyer shuts her eyes and begins to pant. In the yellow light of the Japanese lampshade that you bought because she was busy, as you see her middle aged face and sagging neck, you ogle at her deep intelligence and wit, and your respect is escalating. And now you're so hard, it's hurting you, Rajan says in a low, shivering voice. What's going on? Miss Iyer rises, but her eyes are still shut. She's panting harder. She holds an imaginary body and begins gentle pelvic movements to suggest in Wade's biased perception doggy sex. Darling, darling, I so respect you. Tell me, darling, cleverly funny. Tell me once again, darling, why did you read Hegelian dialectics upside down? And your darling moans because, baby, as a Marxist, that's the only way I can read Hegel right. You're in a tizzy now, sir. She's so clever. You're so hard. Rajan turns to the camera, which moves back a few feet. Leave, he says. But Miss Iyer goes on, continuing her pelvic actions. You say, darling, let's move on to general knowledge. What's the most common name in Vietnam? And she says, with a perfect Vietnamese accent, while somehow managing to moan, Nguyen, Nguyen. You, sir, rasp. I respect you so, darling. Next question, honey. What's the difference between recursion and iteration? Rajan rises. A bird-like sound lives his lungs. Rajan rises. A bird-like sound leaves his lungs.